Well, I wasn't paying enough attention to know exactly where we cut off on the broadcast we just finished talking about superstitions. I'll have to watch it to see where we should carry on from to answer these questions. The last question that I took up was what's the difference between superstition and faith? How do you know the difference? Faith is an orientation of the soul. Superstition is crediting with magic or special occult or abstract powers to various external things. The superstition about walking under a ladder is fairly reasonable, actually, because you might get splattered with paint or somebody might drop a tool on you from up on the ladder. So that some of them we call superstitions actually make sense. But being afraid of a black cat, for example, or people in the Near East, or Middle East as it's called today, the Syria and these places, even among Orthodox Christians, believed that if a black dog yawned and you happened to yawn at the same time, a demon would jump down your throat from the black dog. That's obviously not an orientation of the soul, it's simply a superstition. The idea that soil from the grave of a saint has magical powers, that would be a superstition. The taking soil from the grave of a saint as a memorial or commemorative, that's reasonable. Some people take soil from the graves of their loved ones too and keep them in a little box, sometimes even in their icon corner. It has nothing to do with thinking it has mystical or magical powers. So it's not a superstition, it's simply sort of a sweet act of some kind. So the main rule of thumb between it, an orientation of the soul. This is what Orthodox Christian faith is actually about. Now, before I run out of time this time, I'm going to pose a question, and I'm going to ask that you not react, but rather answer. But answer the question as it is asked, because it may be a little bit of a trick question, but it's a serious question, and I would rather that you tried to come up with a serious answer rather than those of you who are not atheists, or those of you who are Christians or Orthodox, to give a sensible, meaningful answer to it, realizing that I'm not saying it as just to be saying it, just to make people think. There is an answer, and I want to see how many people can answer properly. At what point does morality become a heresy? That's the question. At what point does morality become a heresy? And I would like for serious answers, not reactions or knee-jerk reactions, or outrage to be responded, but a serious-minded answer, okay? At what point does morality become a heresy? And I'll answer it, probably in 5 or 6 days. I want to see what kind of responses I get. I'm also going to respond to some people who have become subscribers in the last few days. Some of you I know are avowed atheists, and some are agnostic. You don't know, well, you believe there might be something, but you don't know what it is, or something like that. And I want to tie this together also with a comment to Orthodox Christians, and to one young man who wrote that he's entering seminary now to study for the priesthood. First of all, I want to say that if you're studying for the priesthood, remember above all that you are studying to become a spiritual healer, not to become a prosecuting attorney, not to become one who judges and condemns the world, not as one who's supposed to rant and rave in sermons, condemning anything you can think of to condemn, just to try to make an exciting sermon. We're supposed to preach the gospel, pure and simple, and the gospel that was read that day. The church is a spiritual hospital. It is not a court of law. Priests are called upon to be spiritual healers, not prosecuting attorneys. There is far too much from Christian sources of a kind of condemnation and criticism of things in the world that actually becomes a form of persecution. And we'll all scream and cry for some kind of world support or help when we think Christians are being persecuted someplace. And of course, there are places where Christians are persecuted. But the first thing we ought to do is make sure we're not persecuting anyone. That's the rub. You know, we want everybody to step off the sidewalk for us as Christians, but we don't really want to let anybody on that sidewalk that we don't like. But when somebody tries to push us off the sidewalk, well then, you know, we're ready to become militant. That's not right, and that's not Christianity. Our Lord Jesus Christ said, "I came not to condemn the world, but that the world through me might be saved." And he says he doesn't judge the world. There's something else that judges the world. That is the words that he spoke. So let's look only at the words that Jesus Christ spoke to see how they judge the world, and not take our prejudices, our secret fears that we harbor deep inside ourselves, and usually fears about ourselves, and the little social or societal taboos and things that we come up with. Let's not take those and try to use them as weapons to persecute people with. There are a lot of social problems and social issues that need to be resolved, and we believe that the Orthodox Church can shed an enormous amount of light on resolving those issues. But we cannot do it with hatred, with malice, with judgment, with condemnation, or by persecuting people. There's another way, and that way is the way of co-suffering love and understanding and compassion, and trying to find out what these social issues stem from and what they mean. You cannot tell someone who's in bondage to a passion to simply click it like a toggle switch on a light, turn it on and off. There has to be some kind of struggle, some kind of desire to change things, and some kind of genuine moral struggle in order to help change what's going on inside people. But there are many things that we don't necessarily approve of which cannot be changed, because they're things that are innate and that are hardwired in people before their birth. Mental illnesses are often judged as being demonic possession, and to our everlasting shame, a Romanian elder actually killed a woman trying to drive demons out of her when in fact she was schizophrenic, and she should have been being treated with psychotropic medications and been guided and received into perhaps a convent even, so long as she was on her medication and didn't cause total chaos, and helped with her struggle. But someone once brought, this was a Pentecostalist, once brought his Down syndrome son to our monastery and asked us to pray for driving out the demon from the boy. And we found out he'd been to every religious body in the valley trying to get people to pray to drive out a demon from the boy because he was Down syndrome. Well, that's a monstrous thing to do. It has nothing whatsoever to do with faith or Christianity or anything. It's just monstrous. First of all, to traumatize the child when he already has problems, and secondly, not to realize that Down syndrome children are often among the sweetest, gentlest, and most lovable of children, even of adults. And to take them to, a school perhaps that has special courses for Down syndrome or learning disabled people, that they can learn something and learn how to earn a living, to work at something, to help support themselves, and to encourage them, and above all, to love them as they are, because they're really very, very lovable, warm, and sweet people. Anyway, I'm going to run out of time again, so I'm going to sign off right now and ask people, try to answer my question.